Hey everyone, welcome back to Whispers of Terror, where we dive deep into the creepiest, most spine-chilling stories out there. Today, I've got a real treat for you, a true crime story that sounds like it's straight out of a horror movie. This one's about a retired cop who cracked a decade-old mass murder case using an ancient, creepy nursery rhyme. Buckle up, because this is one wild ride. So, back in 2006, there was this retired detective named Westons. One day, Old West was just casually surfing the web, and he stumbled upon a post that sent shivers down his spine. The post read, "My mom killed me, my dad ate me, my sister sat under the dining table, picking up my bones, buried them under a cold stone tablet." Creepy, right? The post said that this terrifying little rhyme came from an old European nursery rhyme book called Mother Goose Rhymes. Now, Mother Goose Rhymes is pretty famous, so Westons had read it before and didn't think much of it at first. But what really grabbed his attention was the location of the poster, a small town in California called Marston. That's where Westons had worked before. Weston's mind raced back to 10 years ago. There had been a report that the Pick family, dad, mom, and their 2 sons, had vanished overnight. The only one left was their 7-year-old daughter, Anna. For 10 years, this missing persons case had remained unsolved, haunting Westons even after he retired. But now, this eerie nursery rhyme had reignited his determination. Could the Pick family have been murdered and buried somewhere? Weston shared his bold theory with his former colleagues. They traced the poster's ID and were shocked to find out it was Anna, the sole survivor of the Pick family. Weston's was convinced that this nursery rhyme held some hidden clues. So, he packed his bags and headed back to Marston. There, he met the grown-up Anna, who had spent her childhood in an orphanage and now worked at a local laundry shop. Westons asked her if she remembered anything from the disappearance 10 years ago, but Anna said her mind had blocked out all memories due to severe trauma. Westons then asked why she had posted that particular nursery rhyme online. Anna explained that she had recently bought a Mother Goose Rhymes book and had randomly chosen a rhyme to post, with no special meaning. But Westons, being the experienced detective he was, knew that the human brain is a complex thing. Despite Anna claiming she had no recollection of the events, the trauma she had endured must have left a deep imprint on her subconscious mind. Anna revealed that Pick was not her biological father. When she was very young, her mother had taken her from a backward island in the Caribbean and smuggled her into the United States. After moving around, her mother married Pick, a widower with 2 sons. The last line of the nursery rhyme said that the bones were buried under a cold stone tablet. Since the Pick family's fate had never been confirmed, they didn't have a tombstone. But Pick's first wife had a normal death record and was buried in the town cemetery. Westons boldly speculated that the bodies of Pick and his 2 sons, as well as the truth about Anna's mother's disappearance, might be buried under that tombstone. So, on a sunny afternoon, a group of people dug up Pick's first wife's grave. When they opened the coffin, they were shocked to find a pile of bones, layer upon layer. After forensic examination, it was confirmed that the remains were from 4 complete skeletons: Pick's first wife, Pick, and his 2 sons. But Anna's mother's body was not among them. The police speculated 2 possibilities: either she had died elsewhere, or she was the murderer and had fled. Just when they thought the case was about to be solved, the forensic team discovered an extra lead bone in the grave. After DNA testing, it matched Anna's mother. This threw the investigation into confusion. Had Anna's mother also been killed? Maybe her body had been severely damaged, leaving only a lead bone. The investigation hit a dead end. At this time, a Japanese friend of Weston's offered some help. He mentioned an old nursery rhyme from his hometown on the Aizu Peninsula called Handball Song. The story is set in the Edo period, where 7 samurai, after being defeated, fled to a village. The villagers coveted their belongings and planned to lure the samurai into a cave, where they burned them alive. Soon after the samurai's death, village children began singing a strange and terrifying nursery rhyme. Every time the song was sung, someone in the village would mysteriously die, until all the adults were dead. Eventually, a one-armed samurai emerged from the village and disappeared down the road, never to be seen again. This wasn't a supernatural story. Only 6 samurai were burned in the cave. One samurai cut off his own arm to deceive the villagers into thinking he had died in the fire. In reality, he had survived and escaped. To avenge the villagers, the samurai turned the fire and the conspiracy into a nursery rhyme. The children didn't understand it, but the adults who had participated in the arson believed it was a vengeful spirit, living in constant fear. In this atmosphere of despair, the samurai eventually killed all the villagers, completing his revenge. This is the origin story of the Japanese nursery rhyme Handball Song. Inspired by this story, the local police boldly speculated that Anna's mother might not have died. She might have killed Pick and his sons, buried their bodies along with her own leg bone under Pick's first wife's tombstone to mislead everyone. The police reviewed all hospital records in California, examining patients who had undergone amputation surgery 10 years ago. They found a suspicious woman who had used a fake name to receive treatment for a leg injury at a nearby hospital. After a series of investigations, the police finally confirmed that this woman was Anna's mother, who had disappeared 10 years ago. Faced with the police's accusations, she eventually confessed. Why did Anna's mother kill? The story later explained that Anna's mother and daughter had smuggled into the United States from a backward island in the Caribbean. To survive, Anna's mother married Pick, a middle-aged widower with 2 sons. She thought life would stabilize, but she did not expect the Pick family to have perverse habits. The 3 men often abused Anna's mother and even targeted young Anna. This was something Anna's mother could not tolerate. So, on a dark and windy night, Anna's mother killed Pick and his sons, dismembered their bodies, and buried their bones under Pick's first wife's tombstone. Anna witnessed all of this, and although her mind chose to forget the bloody scene, a creepy nursery rhyme later resonated with her subconscious. She posted it online, creating an opportunity for the retired detective to return and solve the case. This is the famous American nursery rhyme murder case. Speaking of nursery rhymes, I read one as a child. It told the story of a happy couple who had no children. One winter, the woman was peeling apples under a juniper tree, cut her finger, and the blood dripped onto the snow. She prayed for a child with lips as red as blood and skin as white as snow. A year later, she gave birth to a beautiful boy but died in childbirth. The man soon remarried and had a daughter. The stepmother disliked the boy and one day killed him, cooked his body into a stew, and fed it to the unsuspecting father. The sister buried her brother's bones under the juniper tree. Later, a bird that could sing appeared on the tree, singing, "My mother killed me, my father ate me, my sister buried me under the juniper tree." This song is known as the Juniper Tree Song. Now that we've finished that story, let's move on to another one. This is a tale about a lighthouse and its keepers who vanished without a trace. Imagine this, you're on a lonely island, manning a lighthouse. There are just 2 of you, and suddenly, one of you dies. The supply ship isn't coming for another 4 months. The one left behind would be living in their own personal hell, right? We covered a story like that last time. To avoid these kinds of nightmares, 3 keepers were assigned to each lighthouse moving forward. But guess what? A few months later, all 3 keepers mysteriously disappeared. The lighthouse board had to send a rescue team over to check things out. When they arrived, everything was in perfect order. No signs of a struggle or anything unusual. But then they stumbled upon the work log in the keeper's quarters, and the last few entries were spooky and downright unbelievable. What did the diary say? Why did the 3 keepers vanish? Stick around if you're a fan of escape rooms, Far Cry, or sea turtles, because this video is tailor-made for you. Welcome to the mystery of the 3 keepers who disappeared back in 1900 on a remote island off Scotland. The Flannan Isles, sitting 100 miles west of Scotland in a desolate sea area, are consisted of 7 uninhabited islands. The biggest one is Eilean Mor. Legend has it, way back in the 6th century, an Irish bishop named Flannan built a simple church on this empty island. Nobody really knows why, since no one lived there, but the islands picked up the name Flannan Isles and a ton of creepy stories. Local fishermen would see old huts pop up out of nowhere and swear they were haunted by ghosts. For over 1,000 years, the tales got scarier and fewer people dared to visit. Then in 1899, the Brits built a towering 23-meter white lighthouse on Eilean Mor. The living conditions there were way better than those old, rickety lighthouses we've talked about before. Imagine being offered $30,000 a year, with 2 buddies, free food, and board. How long could you last? Fishing rod in hand, I'd stay until the end of World War II. But here's the kicker, no one else is around except for 3 lighthouse keepers, and the supply ship only shows up once every 6 months. On December 15, 1900, just after midnight, a ship traveling from Philadelphia to Leith, Scotland, passed by the Flannan Isles. The watchman was shocked. The lighthouse, which was supposed to be guiding them, was totally dark, like it had vanished into the night. Captain Holman, commanding the voyage, felt a chill run down his spine. They couldn't stop to check it out right then, but once they got to Scotland on December 18th, they reported it to the Northern Lighthouse Board. The weather was dreadful and Christmas was right around the corner, so they couldn't send out an investigation team until the 26th. Captain James Harvey, stationed on Lewis Island just 20 miles away, led the rescue team. In just a few hours, they reached Eilean Mor. According to the board, the 3 keepers were Principal Keeper James Duckett, 43, Assistant Keeper Thomas Marshall, 28, and Occasional Keeper Donald MacArthur, 40. Until then, no one had heard of 3 keepers deserting their post at the same time anywhere in Britain. Captain Harvey felt a growing unease as he climbed the stone steps to the lighthouse. Things didn't look right. 2 raincoats were missing from the hall, the clock had stopped, food was left half-eaten on the table, and a chair was overturned. The first floor was a complete mess, but the other rooms were neat as a pin, the lamps polished. This hinted that the 3 keepers had been gone for quite a while and left in a hurry, perhaps interrupted while working or eating. Harvey left some crew members to temporarily manage the lighthouse and darted back to port to send an urgent telegram to the lighthouse board. Terrible event at Flannan. 3 keepers have vanished. No signs of disturbance found. No bodies seen in the vicinity. Headquarters should send a senior official for thorough investigation. On December 29, 1900, Robert Muirhead from the Northern Lighthouse Board, who had appointed these 3 men, arrived on the Flannan Isles with his assistant. Muirhead quickly found more anomalies. The west dock was wrecked, iron railings were bent out of shape, The foundation was cracked, ropes were scattered everywhere, and the lifebuoy was gone. The strangest thing was a 20 hundredweight, 1 ton, stone that had somehow moved from the island's highest point to the dock, a feat impossible for 3 men. Muirhead found assistant keeper Thomas Marshall's work log. The entries were chilling. December 12th, I've never seen such a fierce wind in my life. Duckett said nothing, and MacArthur cried continuously. December 13th, the storm still rages. We prayed all day. December 15th, the storm is over, and the sea is calm. Everything is under God's control. The log stops at December 15th, the presumed day they vanished. Here's the kicker. According to local meteorological records, the weather was clear between December 12th and December 14th. Muirhead wondered, what kind of storm could have scared MacArthur, a tough ex-sailor, into tears? Why were these seasoned keepers praying all day in a sturdy new concrete lighthouse? So what terrifying force was at play? Why is there no entry for the 14th? And why does the log on the 15th sound like it was written by someone losing their mind, like something out of a Lovecraft story? What really happened on December 15th? Theories abound. Some say Duckett, under an evil spell, killed his colleagues and threw himself into the sea. Others claim they were blown into the sea by violent winds or kidnapped by unknown invaders. But who in their right mind would invade Britain in 1900? Some even speculate it was an alien abduction. I dug up a 1900 report from the first rescue team to reach the island. They stayed behind to thoroughly check out Eileen Moore while Captain Harvey reported the findings. This report is still available on the Northern Lighthouse Board's website. It mostly lines up with my account, but has a few differences. No mention of half-eaten food or overturned chairs. The kitchen, bedrooms, and lamps were all clean and orderly instead. It also highlights a critical detail. On December 7th, a rescue team had visited, possibly for supplies or a rotation, and found everything normal. The December 29th reports validated that the keepers were exceptional and dismissed the murder-suicide theory. The island's ferocious winds and waves were confirmed as extraordinary. Supplies from the December 7th visit were largely untouched. A sick keeper had been replaced by casual keeper MacArthur that day. With the available evidence, investigator Muirhead boldly speculated the keepers were blown off a cliff or swept away by massive waves. But 2 unsolved mysteries remained. Why was one keeper not wearing a raincoat, and why did all 3 leave their posts, defying regulations? Enter John Elphinston, a researcher who shed new light in his 2015 book. He found out that assistant keeper Marshall had once been fined 5 shillings after high winds damaged dock equipment. Elphinston theorized that, fearing another fine, Duckett and Marshall put on their raincoats to secure the equipment, leaving MacArthur at the lighthouse. After a long wait or spotting a giant wave, MacArthur must have rushed out without his raincoat. All 3 were then swept away by the fury of the wind or the waves. Reminds me of a dark joke. 3 people at the beach decide to compete to see who can tell the funniest joke. The first 2 tell their jokes, and nothing happens. The third tells his joke, and the commotion is so big that they all disappear, never to be seen again. So there you have it. Despite a century-old report and recent research, the mystery of the 3 keepers' disappearance on Eileen Moore remains unsolved. What do you think happened to them? Let us know in the comments below, and do not forget to like and subscribe for more spine-chilling stories.